All right. Well, hey, everybody. I'm back. I want to start with Clean the Cheetah here. I want to start off by thanking Maureen and Sayla for doing the Boss Babe call last week. I really appreciate it. I have not had a chance to listen to it, but I have already got a lot of good feedback from it. So thank you, Maureen and Sayla, for taking over for me. Maureen, she had to log in as me in Zoom. She even logged in as me at Director Bible Study. And everybody was thinking that I was really like something else to get on Director Bible Study in Scotland, which would have been like, I don't even know what time it would have been like. But anyway, thank you, both of y'all. I know you did a great job. And I missed everybody. So first, I just wanted to, it's September the 18th, 2022. I want to congratulate all the STAR consultants from last week. And so I would love, if you were a STAR, if you finished your STAR, if you will put it in the chat, that what level STAR you finished. And I know some of you really had to stretch. You were at like the last minute getting it in. And so it sure is exciting when you work to the last minute and you achieve that goal. Some of you worked to the last minute, but you fell a little bit short. And you know what? If you did, guess what? It's last quarter. Can't do one single thing to change the past. So just move on and say, hey, I worked as hard as I can. No shame in the game, but it's a new quarter right now and everybody can be a STAR on this quarter, which started September 15th, 16th, 2 days ago, and it ends on December the 15th, right in time for Christmas. And so I know some of you are saving your STAR points. Some of you are, getting something every single time. I don't know. I kind of like to win on the spot, but then I've been saving them this year. I'm thinking about saving them until the end of the year. But anyway, look at all the stars. Awesome. Emerald Star, Audie, Emerald Star, Lynn, Sapphire Star, Shannon. And so I'll pull you out or call you out when I see it. Maureen, Pearl Girl, congratulations. That's awesome. And thank you, honey. Bringing my Dr. Pepper with my $1 million cheetah. Is this not the cutest thing you've ever seen? My directors gave me that. Okay. I'm waking up. I told everybody, y'all know, most of you know that I went to Scotland last 2 weeks and there's a little bit of a time difference and jet lag is kind of real when you get over 4 hours difference, which ours is 5 hours difference. And I laid down at 3 and I woke up 30 minutes ago. Well, actually about 20. So I had to kind of redo for the day. So I'm super excited to be here tonight. And I want to make good use of the time tonight. And, I know that I could have like put up all my Talk Director trip pictures. But it's kind of like looking at somebody else's vacation pictures. The first couple are fine. Then you're like, okay, whatever. I didn't go, so it's not that big a deal. But we had such a great time. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about, we had a director's meeting. Well, first of all, I'll just say when we got there, Brad and I went a couple of days early. And then we rented a car. And if you've never been to England or, the UK in that area, your drivers, it's like a postal truck. The driver is on the right side of the car and you drive on the left side of the road and you shift, and we had a manual, so you have to shift gears with your left hand. And so that was really a challenge. Brad, I couldn't have done it. So Brad did it. We drove it for 2 days and then we rightly parked that thing and took a Uber or a train and buses. We took them all to not have to do that, because honestly, one turn we came out of a gas station, and if we didn't get in the wrong lane, and of course he thought it was one way in a semi truck, I'm like, Brad. Of course I screamed at him the whole time and he backed out. And then another time we were going out of the rental car place, like right out of the rental car place. And you know how, like, normally what do? You look to see if anybody's coming like this way, right? And anyway, but they whip around left on that left corner and he had to squelch on brakes. And anyway, so I say we about lost our life a couple of times. He probably said he saved our life a couple of times. But anyway, that was a challenge. So we took the rental car place thing back. And then the Mary Kay, that's when the Mary Kay thing started. And they picked us up in this van. We spent it with Elizabeth and Tim Kramer was a director couple. In fact, she's going to speak on one of the Boss Babe calls. She has been the queen of sales in her seminar a couple of times. She's got like she's going to teach on how to do a Mary Kate holiday open house. And her goal this year is to sell 15,000 herself. She sold, I think she said she sold 13,000 last year. Anyway, we're not talking about little girl money. We're talking about big girl money. So I'm going to try to get her next week. I don't know what she's got going on, but we both said we would speak on each other's unit call. And I know that you guys will love her, and I will, I'm going to do it on the Boss Babe call instead of my unit so everybody can gain from it. But anyway, we got to play golf over there, had a wonderful time. We parked the car, the Mary Kay vans came and picked us up, and they took us for free. They transport us to the Sheraton Grand, which is right in the middle of the city of Edinburgh. And I'll just tell you this, because I know some of you are wondering about the Queen and how that went down when we were over there. We were playing golf in Troon, and Troon is another city in Scotland. And we were in the pro shop, and this girl from, I believe, Kentucky was in there. They said 80% of the people that play golf in that place were from the United States. But anyway, she said, "Did you hear about the Queen?" I said, "No." This was on Thursday. And she said, "Well, Jenna Bush from the Today Show is over at Belmar Castle where she is." And I said, "Really?" And she said, "Yeah, it doesn't look like she's going to make it." I said, "Like she's going to die?" She said, "Yeah, like she's not." Evidently, they called the family in. They got the Today Show over there. So, it must be serious. I'm like, wow. And so we finished golf. We were eating in the hotel, and they had TVs up. And then at 6:30 on 6:30 Scotland time, you see all over the TVs, the Queen has died, and it's called Operation London Bridge has fallen, which that's a whole thing. And then they had Operation Unicorn, which is the symbol of Scotland, where the symbol of England is a lion, Scotland is a unicorn. And because she died in Scotland, they had to bring her to Edinburgh, which is where we were. Okay. So they had to bring her on Friday, which is when we got to Edinburgh. And so you guys, all the different times they had to bring her, we just happened to be, pretty much in the right place at the right time. And so we saw King Charles. I have to show you this one picture. I know that some of y'all follow me on Facebook. And listen, if you friend requested me and I happen to not know you, but you maybe get on these calls, my stuff is public, so I can't take any more friends. I have to leave a couple spots for my customers and my new consultants, but you can see everything that a friend could see. But the first thing that we did is we saw, we lined up to see the Queen in the limo was coming in the coffin, and to take her to what they call Holyrood House, and that's where she was going to be. And they did a little presentation there. And then they went from Holyrood House the next day to the St. Giles Cathedral. And that's where she laid in state for a day. And people lined up for, 10 hours to get these armbands, to get in line, to go by and just walk by the coffin, but anyway, when we were out there waiting for I guess this was I don't remember what days, y'all, I'm getting confused. But one of the days we saw, we were walking, and there was a cop out there, and we said, and it was just us, and a couple of friends, and we said, "What's going on?" Because they had the road marked off. And I said, "Is something fixing to happen?" And she goes, "Yes." I said, "Well, is somebody fixing to come?" She goes, "Yes." I said, "Who?" She goes, "You'll see." I said, "Well, when?" She goes, "Now." And so, within 5 minutes, this is what we saw. Okay. Here comes in a big old limo. That's King Charles, okay, and Camilla. And this isn't a great picture, but there were just, you can see they weren't lined up. People didn't know when they were coming through, just happened to be. And so his window was down. He saw all of us over there, and he just waved us. And I'm like, I'm not even believing that I joined Mary Kay in Searcy, Arkansas 37 years ago, and somehow got on a top director trip to get to Scotland and Edinburgh and to see the King of the whole United Kingdom in the car with his wife. The Queen Consort, that's what we call her. Anyway, with my own two eyes. And you think about times that you've had bookings cancel and things like that. But if you keep working, you don't know what this career could bring you. Who in the world would have thought that I'd ever get to do that? So that was really awesome. And then, of course, we saw them when they came back through with the coffin in the car. And, he was walking behind him, and the other 3 children, Anne and Andrew and Philip, they were all walking behind. And here's the thing that was crazy about that. And y'all can go to the YouTube channel. Brad got a great video. Everybody was chatting, not loud, just like kind of quiet, but everybody's talking and, and then when that coffin and that procession came up, because they walked from Holyrood Palace all the way up to St. Giles, and it's several blocks. And King Charles is 70-something years old. I thought that's a haul for him to have to walk uphill. But I mean, you could have heard a pin drop. When they came, I mean, the babies stopped crying, the dogs quit barking, and it was totally quiet, like out of so much respect for the Queen as they rode by. It was just like, I don't know. It was just really, really something else to see that in person and how much everybody loved their Queen, and even the ones that they call them Republicans or Republics that want to be free. They don't like being under a monarch, but they still showed respect. And there was no, how in America sometimes, right? A bunch of craziness goes on with large crowds like that. None of that. And when everybody left, I'm talking no trash on the road. Very, very respectful country. And we have a lot to learn from that, I believe. But anyway, that was pretty much a highlight. What Mary Kay did when we got there, there were several things we were supposed to do. And as you can imagine, a lot of things that we were supposed to do, they closed because of the Queen passing away. And so Mary Kay, when we got to the hotel, one of the things they normally do is they stand in the lobby, all of like Nathan Moore, the president, all the staff, they stand in the lobby with like sometimes pom-poms, balloons, whatever, and they're clapping as we come in. And it's like a big celebration when people come into the hotel. But out of showing respect, I mean, she had died like not even 24 hours later. Like she died on Thursday. This was Friday. So out of respect for the country and the Queen, we just came in. There wasn't a big fanfare, and we went up to the second floor, and they were there and they greeted us. But it was just kind of like, this country had lost their Queen, and the Americans, we didn't want to show disrespect by, having our own little party there in that way, So, but we all understood that too, and we didn't think anything of. I mean, we thought it was the right thing to do. But when we got there, Brad, the first thing they did is they said the men had to be fitted for their kilt. So that was so funny. I mean, we were dying. And so I believe all the husbands did it. I mean, like I didn't see any man in a regular, in regular clothes. And so let me show you the picture of Brad and his fellow comrades in the quilt. Hang on. I gotta pull up a picture. But because it was full formal dress when they did this. And they provided everything, the socks, the shoes, the ties. They had this thing to keep their socks up. There's a little thing right here that had it had a place to put their knife and the little purses, and they have pleats in the back. Okay. And and then the vest, there was all kind of like straps and things. Like he had to have help to get ready. Let's just put it that way. And these guys, they were so funny in these kilts. I mean, but don't they look handsome, right? I thought they looked so nice. And they got the tartan was according to whatever, when you went in there, just what they had in your size kind of type thing. So we didn't get to really pick out the one. There is an Eyre tartan, believe it or not. And but anyway, they looked so good. And you just should have seen them that night. We went to this place called the Hopton House, and there was a lord there, the Lord Hopton, and he spoke to us, and he was one of the ones that actually walked by the coffin because he was a royal archer. And so he spoke that night, and I went up there and showed him the video that I had. I said, listen, he was talking to the $1 million directors, like at those tables. So I just walked right up after he talked, and I said, look, I'm not a $1 million director. I said, but I got a $1 million video I want to show you. And so I pulled up my phone and I showed him the video. And I said, is this one you? And he goes, wait a minute, push it back. He goes, right there. And he showed me a picture of him. And I said, he goes, that's awesome. And so anyway, I took a selfie of me and Lord Hopton. he didn't know what was happening. I said, well, I gotta get a selfie. And I thought it's probably so inappropriate, right? But he just goes, he took off his glasses and goes, and he took it for me. Anyway, nobody could believe it. It was just pretty funny. So I have a picture of him, and and then they brought this group in called the Red Hot Chili Pipers, Red Hot Chili Pipers. They were bagpipe people that played bagpipes that played rock and roll music. Okay, so I want to show you, if I can pull it up, I want to show you one video of those bagpipers, because you guys, we were just in awe of them. Okay, let me see if this is it right here. Yeah, this is it. I won't play the whole thing, but I just want you to see them. They're very famous over there. You can look it up on YouTube. See if I can pull it up. Okay. This isn't as good as I don't know why it's not coming up like where I can see the whole thing. Oh, I know. Hang on. Let's see if I did it that way. No, that did not work. I'm sorry. Hang on, you guys. All right, that's not gonna work. I'll just do it this way and see if it works. Okay, here we go. This is, we were all dressed up in the kilts, right? And then, like I say, I know this is kind of small, but and so then all of a sudden they come in. Here we go. And then of course, tonal black. I mean, it's so super pretty. And you can still, what I also love, you'll see the texture of the pebble. Let me see if I can. Come on now. I had a girl that comes out to sing in a minute too.
Quita, we don't hear the music.
No, you don't hear the music?
We hear somebody in the background, but it ain't the music.
Shoot, y'all can't hear the music at all?
No, it sounds like somebody's teaching something in the background.
What in the Sam Hill did I do? Can y'all see the picture? Okay, well, you know what? That's okay.
We could see the picture for sure.
Okay, but just no music. All right, thank you for telling me. Okay, well, you'll just have to go and look at it. I'm gonna try to post these. I'll try to post these later. Oh well. I know I should have got up earlier and I've been more prepared. Anyway, the bagpipes, they were really awesome. I mean, they played like I Love Rock and Roll. The girl comes out and she plays that song. She sings that song, Shut Up and Dance With Me. It was just like songs we know with the bagpipe. And it was just really, really awesome. But anyway, they had a let's go to Mary Kay part. They had a director's meeting, and at the director's meeting, well, it was like a recognition meeting. They brought up all of the $1 million directors, and all the $1 million directors, they got to give they had 7 minutes to give like a tip. And so I wanted to just talk to you about some of those and just kind of give them a little, well, let me tell you what they got. Okay, first of all, they got a $5,000 bonus. This is $1 million directors. Okay, this is our company. They gave them a $5,000 bonus. They all flew in business class air travel, and so they were like lounging and watching TV. And me and Brad our knees were touching the bench. Of course, we're not complaining. We're glad to be there. They had $1 million dinner on the Royal Britannia, which was a yacht that Queen Elizabeth loved to go on. And so they got to do that. They all got these pink robes. And then they said, listen, if you'll check your account, all of you had $1,000 deposit in your account today. And as a thank you for being $1 million director, y'all go shopping with it or do whatever you want to with it. And so that was pretty awesome. let's see. Kim Mesmer was one of them, and she talked about how she went live every Sunday night, and that's something. So we were on the right way. But one of the things that we saw was a lot of consistency of what they did as far as guest events with their units, and some were back in person, and some were doing hybrid where they would film, like they would film the live skincare class to the guests, and of course they had some help with this. So let's say I was doing a skincare class live, and then someone else was videoing it while they were there and working the chat on the guest as well. So some of them were doing things like that, but very consistent with like at least once to 3 times a week, they were doing a skincare class where they mailed out samples. Some mailed out samples, okay? Some did not mail out samples. I'll tell you that. You heard it all different ways, Some only did Zoom for their skincare class. Some only did Facebook for their skincare class. It was really amazing, and they're all $1 million directors, Some of them had different themes that they had, as far as the glamour, like all about eyes, and y'all have seen all of that. It's just mainly switching up some of the things that we do on Facebook and on the social media to make it more interesting, let me turn this off right here. Let's see. One of the things that they do when they do their lives, I'll just tell you this, is they do a thing where they have all the consultants and all the guests on the line, and then the consultants, they all just say who they are and where they live and how long they've been a consultant. And then the people that are helping with the thing. So, and you can do that. I'm saying this because you can do this as a director with your unit, but you could also do it with a couple of your beauty consultant friends. Y'all get together. If your director's not doing something like this, you can get together with your beauty consultant friends. And then so in the chat, if you're a consultant, you say who you are, where you live, and how long you've been a consultant. And of course then that makes everybody knows those are consultants. And then the guests say who invited them. And then of course they do the drawings from that. Let's see. And I will say one thing that this gal did, Kim, is she really concentrated on it. And this could apply to all of you. And she called it the unengaged consultants. And it's consultants that are in your unit or on your team who have not, they place the order like once a year or twice a year. So they're basically kind of personal use consultants. She really made a big effort. And Lorinda King talked about this too, a big effort. They said, you have a third, and a third of the unit and a third of your team, they're going to be working whether you tell them to do anything or not, because that's just how the numbers play. And then she says, I really focused on the bottom, like not the bottom, but she said the other 2/3 of the unit, and try to get them involved in some things with customers and products. And so what they found is about making that concerted effort on the women that are in the other 2/3, they're not out really hustling, maybe not even doing parties. They started paying attention to some of these lives about the products, because they're Mary Kay consultants because they love the Mary Kay products, right? They order once or twice a year for themselves because they used to be customers, right? And they like to buy it at half price. So they got these gals more involved. And the percentages were amazing. What they talked about, how they really reached out to them and say, hey, you might want to get on here, even to the fact of, and this is a thought for consultants and directors, of sending like the samples, asking them if they would like to get on a Facebook Live or a Zoom, and send them the sample just like they were a guest if they have not tried these particular products you're doing, or just invite them to get on there. And so what happened is they said that they had a lot more participation and a lot more engagement with those women, because and they, in fact, Lorinda said, she said, my directors, she said, they came out of the 2/3 instead of the top 1/3. She said a lot of my new directors, because they started getting more engaged in the product. So I thought that was a pretty good idea to really look at that and work on that. Okay. There was a gal, Chantel Bissalon, the Canadian directors were there, and they spoke. This was amazing, y'all. There were, I think, 4 Canadian, I shouldn't say. I know there was at least two Canadian national sales directors that had that spoke that day. And one of them during 2020 decided, she spoke French. She decided to learn English the last 2 years so that she could speak to the US directors at the top director trip in English. And y'all, I was pretty impressed. I'm just telling you, like if I thought like next year I had to go to a French, somewhere in France and speak French and do a speech and only had that much time to do it. Can y'all imagine? Anyway, she spoke and she said, you look at three things, three levels of a goal. She said the main goal for your Mary Kay year, and then a goal that you are obsessed with, and then your ambitious goal that may seem unreachable. And she said, if that ambitious goal, she goes, you really want to look at that. Like you have your main goal, but you really want to look further than that so that you will stretch beyond what you even think you can do. Some people put their main goal as something maybe they've even done before that they want to, repeat. For example, like if my main goal was to do triple star this year. Well, I have already done triple star, so that'd be great. But I need a bigger goal than that to stretch me from where I am right now. And so she talked about that a little bit. Lindsay Freisler, I know I don't say her name right, Lindsay, and she is a friend of mine, but I've never been able to say her name right. But she talked about how she was up there speaking, and she said 15 years ago, I believe it was even that week, that she was in a coffee shop and another Mary Kay girl came in and asked her if she would be a model or be interested in a free facial. And she gave her the information, and then she followed up with her, and Lindsay, just kind of, she didn't book right then. And then it was like a couple of weeks later, she followed up with her again. And finally she decided to say yes. And from that time, she and the girl that booked her, which happens to be Brittany Jinks, are both $1 million directors this year. And she was up there and she got really emotional, talking about how she just really thanked Brittany for following up and not just asking her one time, because how much it has changed her life. And so one of the things that she talked about is that her getting to million is just her belief, really working on her belief that she could do it and that she got more help. And a lot of, she actually hired a consultant in her unit that worked. First of all, she had her part-time, and then the girl lost her other job and said she needed to have full-time. She needed to work full-time. So Lindsay just kind of swallowed big and said, so I hired her for 40 hours a week. She goes, and I was like, eek, for that obligation of paying someone else a full salary, paying someone else 40 hours a week. And so she said, so what I thought is, okay, I'm going to have her do every single thing that I don't want to do, but that needs to be done. And then I'm going to do the stuff that brings me joy, and that's being in front of my people and, doing the lives, doing the Zooms, talking to her consultants and things like that. So her person that works for her, she packs up all those samples and sends them out to all the guests. Like Brittany doesn't do it. So I was just thinking about some of us with this, and you may think, what a pain. Okay. You may not, but you may think, I got to send out samples to everybody. I mean, what a pain. What if I have like 50 people to send out samples to? That's a lot of paperwork, time consuming. I could be doing something else with people that brings me joy. This is not bringing me joy. Why couldn't you hire someone to do that for you and pay them a certain amount? Some people pay, like on the samples, they pay them like, something as small as 10 cents a sample to send out. She sends out 10 samples, that's $1. If she sends out 50, that's $5 or whatever, 15 cents a sample. I don't know how you probably have to see how long it took her to do it. But there's some things like that you could hire a high school girl. You could hire a middle school girl, for crying out loud, or boy, to do it. If you have children, they might want to do it and you give them money for it. So there's some things like that maybe you should be doing, but you're like, what a pain. I don't want to do it. Stuff like that drives me nuts. So why am I talking for myself, right? That's where you hire someone to do the things like that. And you can even hire some people as a beauty consultant. If you're super busy and you need some help, you will. She said I made way more money that year, that my income rose way over what I paid her, and she went, I wish I'd have wrote down her unit clubs, what she went from, but like big jumps, okay, in the last 3 years. Lauren Bloomer is from the Ruby Seminar. She's a first-time $1 million director, and she talked about belief, and she talked about the power of the mind. And so she did meditation every morning. And she said, I'd never been one to sit down and try to meditate, but she did. And she, of course, she used the Bible and then meditated on her goals and some things like that, just to get her mind in the right place. And she said she worked from a place of victory. She did 3 to 5 parties a week. And she, guess what, y'all? She did them all on Tuesdays. All the parties she did on Tuesdays. So she would stream her parties. There's several different things that you could use to stream into more than one party, but she streamed into 5 different groups every Tuesday. And so because she has a baby, and she said, I just had to figure out how I could get in front of more people, but still, take care of my child and do the other things that she needed to do. And so StreamYard.com is one of them you can use, and you can use it to stream into different multiple groups. And like, I do that quite a bit. And so I thought that was really good, because sometimes you think, well, I can't do Mary Kay 5 times a week. Well, maybe you could, you could pay whatever it is, $9.99, and stream one party into 3 or 5 groups. Or you could just have one group and you have 3 to 5 hostesses, because if you're doing it virtual, you can do that. I mean, you really can do that. So that kind of got me thinking on that. I thought that was really good. And she said, belief is everything, but any ounce of doubt will kill the dream. Even 1 ounce of doubt that you're not going to do it will totally kill the dream. Nancy Boucher, spoke up there, and she is, I wish I can remember how old she said she was. She's in her 70s. But she said that this year, because she spoke 3 years ago, and she talked about she's not on Facebook. She barely, used text even. But then this year, she said, I made myself learn it. I had to. I mean, she said, like, after 2020 hit, I had to do it. And so she made herself learn how to use Zoom. And she's right proud of herself. And she said that one of the things she does is she has all her consultants, of course, talk on her unit calls, and they must have a Mary Kay goal and a personal goal. And they talk about that on there. And she has a call that is just for people who want to get on the court of sales. And she said she had 8 people who wanted to be on the court of sales this year. 2 people of those 8 finished the court of sales. And 6 of those women did the Princess Court that were on these calls. And the 6 others that weren't on the calls did it. And so she ended up with 14 women who did 4 quarter stars, a star consult every quarter from these calls. And so I thought that was a pretty good idea. There was a girl, Kelly Freeman, and she's from Georgia. And I really didn't get to know her as well, but she has a full-time job, did $1 million, a full-time job. But she, because of this job, has been working virtually for 15 years. She averages about 21 star consultants in a quarter. And she said she ran with her number 1 girl to be the queen. We wanted to be double queens, like her be the queen, the director queen, and the consultant be the consultant queen. And because it had never been done, like the same unit. And so those 2 right there produce so much income and so much production with both of them running. So it's always good to find a buddy to run with. There was a girl, Kathy Eckhart. She'd been in Mary Kay 48 years, you guys. And this was the first $1 million year she'd had. And she says, you cannot possibly motivate a group of people whom you feel negatively about. So if you feel negative about your team as a red jacket or team leader, or as a sales director, you can't motivate people you feel negative about. She said that was a quote from John Maxwell. Another quote she did from John Maxwell says, if you don't believe your people are the greatest people on earth, you have no business leading them. Mm-hmm. I like that. She said, you can love your people without leading them, but you cannot lead them without loving them. I like that. She talked about what does your starter kit look like? She said there are dreams inside of that kit, and that it's easier. She said it's easier to give birth than raise the dead, but her unit wasn't dead. They were just sleeping. She just had to wake them up, And so she had a lady debut as a director in her unit this year who was 82 years old. 82 years old. She debuted as a sales director this year. And she said, belief is contagious. And one of the last things she said was that there was an archaeologist that found some seeds that were 2,000 years old, 2,000 years old. And they decided to plant the seeds and water them and see what would happen if they would still grow. And she said that they did. And she said, you know what? Some people that maybe have not, they just are sitting there, been sitting there for 2,000 years even. If you water them and you nurture them, it can happen for your people too. So I thought that was pretty good. Jim Bessaker, she did 167 personal parties last year, all Facebook Live, every one of them. And by doing that, she added $400,000 retail to her unit retail production. So she asked all the directors that were sitting there, if you added 400,000 to what you did last year, how much would you have been? And of course, mine would have been $1.5 million. I thought, well, there you go. I'm just going home because that's all you really need to know. 167 personal parties. She does all Facebook Live. She does a recording that she does for her girls, their first 5 parties. She has a recording of her doing a skincare class, and she uses that for that person's first 5 parties. But she does use her name. So she'll do, like, let's say Sayla was my new consultant. I would do a party and say, and Sayla this and Sayla that, and we're so happy you're supporting Sayla in her business. And then she would play that video 5 times for her first 5 parties. And she goes, and by that time, the girl kind of got the idea of how to do it, right? And they were all Facebook Live parties in that girls group. And so I thought that was good too. Let's see. Some of the stuff, I typed it in so I could go back and read it. That's going to be the best way to share with y'all. She does do a hostess program for every consultant each month, and she gives the gifts. And so that's something that a director can think about. They do product previews. A lot of this stuff we do, 2 events for the most individual parties. Okay. Lorinda, back to Lorinda, she says God gave Mary Kay the mandate to change women's lives. And once she realized that, she knew it was a company she would want to be in. And y'all know Lorinda's right over here in Savannah, Georgia, and she's a sweet friend of mine. And she was the queen, the number 1 of last year in US, and this year Brittany Jinks was. But she talked about the word enrich. And she said, enrich, she used the acronym, and it stands for encouraging and engaging your people, richly igniting and restoring women, to be indignant about the Mary Kay way, do it the way Mary Kay taught us to do. And she said, like a dog on a bone. And she said, don't lose the true meaning of passing it on. And then that's all under anyway, I don't know my letters on here. And then she talked about courage, and then every seed planted will grow. And so she was very encouraging as well. And I love Lorinda, so I love listening to her. Sherry Purvis talked about when she did her million, the first time she did $1 million, and she said that the Lord, she had such a touching story, which I knew her story, but she talked about how God told her in May, don't worry about it. You got this. She said, I just felt like that's what God told me to do. Don't worry about it. You don't need to stress. You're going to do it. And she said that her son, one of her sons was getting married. And the day before one of her sons got married, the other son passed away unexpectedly. Like the day before she has 2 sons. And so she was like, can you imagine? You have a grown son die, and then the next day you were supposed to have a celebration with your other son, the wedding. I can't even imagine the conflict of what you would even do. And so she said, the Lord just brought her through it. And she goes, I just was grieving. I just trying to process everything that much. She goes, and it all just came in. She said it actually was the easiest $1 million I'd ever done. She's done $1 million, I think, 3 times. And that was 3 years ago, I think in 2019. And so isn't that amazing that, like, if you put your trust in God and he gave you a dream of something, he's going to see you through it no matter what you had to go through. And so I thought that it was a really touching story when she talked about that. Callie DeBlander Brigham talked, and she said that, before, her confidence had always been performance based. In other words, if you did great, your confidence is high. If you miss a goal, your confidence is low, and they go back and forth. And she talked about confidence. What does confidence mean to you? And she said the definition of confidence is confidence with where you have been. And said this was to build you up no matter what it was. It was to build you up. So no matter if you failed and missed a goal or you made a goal, it was to help you grow as a person. And instead of saying, why is this happening to me? You say, why is this happening for me? And I thought that was good because everybody has things that happen. Of course, she taught right after Sherry did. And so you're like, wow. She said, instead of just let it go. You know, when things happen to you, you say, well, I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to let it go. Instead, she said, just let it be. Just let it be. Just a different way of thinking. And so, let's see. One of the things she does when she has her consultants speak and they do the marketing, she says she has them say, this was me before Mary Kay. And now because of that, this is me. Or maybe this is me before something they've been through. And now because of that, this is me. But a lot of times related to the Mary Kay as well. She said, know where you are right now and knowing where you are right now and rock it out. Your contribution to the world. She said that her consultants would change their name on Zoom like to what they used to do. So on Zoom, they would put whatever their former profession was on Zoom, like if they're doing a guest event. And so it might say school teacher, so-and-so. And I thought that was kind of cute so that guests could see all the different types of women that were on there that are selling Mary Kay. I thought that was a really cute idea because, on Zoom, you can just hit somewhere on there and change your name for that minute. And so I thought that was a cute idea too. And so she says she has a vision every year of what she's working on. So what she's doing this year, she has a son who I believe is 10 or 12. And she said he could pick anywhere he wanted to go and that she would take him. And so I can't even remember what she said she's doing, but I think it was to like Spain or something, Europe or Spain. And just those two are going, just her and her son. And so that's been driving her. She goes, all my customers know about it. All my consultants know about it. And then she encouraged all her consultants to have some kind of dream she's wanting to fund with your Mary Kay business and get your customers engaged in that dream too. And she said she even had her son write thank you notes to the customers this year. And so he would write the thank you notes. And so she said it was powerful, because the customers that have family, that have kids, they would like, yeah, I want to buy from her because I want to help her be able to take her son on this thing they're trying to do. Katie Tupin talked about delegating. She's Linda Tupin's daughter. And so she talked about delegating and how, when she took over her mom's unit a couple of years ago, that her mom had 4 people that worked for her. And so she said, those same 4 people work for me, and they delegate and it can run, on its own. Just like when I was gone, I didn't just quit texting my people and emailing my people and keeping them encouraged because I have systems in place for that information continue to go out no matter where I am in the world, right? And so I thought that was really good. Deborah Bailey, she was in 25 years before she won the first top director trip. And so she wanted to give everybody hope for that. And the first trip she did was 700. And then after that, she did 1 million, and she's done 1 million 3 times. And so she said, don't give up. She goes, I was 25 years before I ever won a top director trip. And so she hired a gal I thought this was good for a director tip. She hired a gal to copy exactly how she communicates with her people. Like she said, for example, sometimes you hire people and they're more corporate, they talk very professional and that's all good. She goes, but I don't talk that way. I use lots of emojis, lots of hearts and smiles and, daffodils or whatever when I text people and I talk to people, she goes, so I want to hire someone who could duplicate me, that like knows how I talk, what I say, and the things that, and so she said, that has made a big difference for me, of who works for me in the office, that they think like I do. And so she really reached out to her T's. She has from 459 to 500 unit members. That's how many, that's a lot of unit members, isn't it? And so she said her T's matter. So anyone that's on the T list, which people that haven't ordered in 6 months, she really made sure they got some information and, to have those T's more engaged and not lose them. So let's see what else she did. She did an in-person party once a week. And her goal is for her she said her goal is for 30 new customers a month. So, that's just new. She has to do to get the personal team members. She had 21 people attend seminar with her, which was really great. And she gives seminar prizes, people that go to seminar. And so, the last thing she said is champions are who we are when no one's looking, how we act and what we do when no one's looking. Brittany Jinks, and I don't know why I didn't write a lot of notes on Brittany. I think because I just listened to this like hour and a half speech on her and I already had kind of made some notes on that. But she went from 350,000 to 650,000 and then to 1.2 million and then 1.6 million. So like her first unit club was 350,000. The next year, 650 trip. The next year, 1.2. The next year, 1.6 and was queen of United States, of North America. Isn't that something? And so, she does, of course, the Facebook Live. She sends out the samples and that, she does it on a very consistent basis. Sarah Ann Fortan, she was the #1 director of Canada and the #1 director of North America. Okay. Brittany was of the United States. Sarah Ann was of Canada. And Sarah Ann was actually #1 of everybody. And so let's see what she talked about. How like y'all ever type and then you're like, what does that mean? I wrote down match chive with your heart. So she was one that talks in French, but was talking in English. So I don't know what that means. But she said, why would you love to achieve this goal? Is it the recognition, whatever goal you have? Is it recognition? Is it the income? Is it the extras on the trip? What is it? Whatever goal it is, what is it? Why do you want to achieve that goal? #2, she said, trust your team. #3, she said, let it be, let it go. Don't be a control freak. Let other people help you do stuff, especially if you're a director, like in your unit. The conception of losing control is funny. We never really control anything, right? We do our best and accept that you will fail sometime. #4, she said, make your people achieve more, one more share, one more party, and small gifts when they achieve. #5, become a team building machine. She said, let's see, a gift of client will share top positive. Okay. She has her clients, like after a call, she'll have her clients, she'll pick some of them to tell about their favorite product on some of her live calls. Isn't that something? So she would like pick, like, let's say you have some really good customers, you ask them to come on and say, at the end of the call, I'd like you to just share about whatever their favorite product is. Maybe you got someone that just uses eye makeup remover. And would she come on your call and share about how she loves it? And it was a different perspective to have a customer come on there and share than a beauty consultant, because the customer's not trying to sell. She don't even sell Mary Kay, right? But it gives them a chance to be highlighted. And then those are some of the people that end up signing up because you're like, look, you did such a great job. So I thought that was a great idea to, as we have different things that we invite our customers to, that we ask some of our customers to get on with us and go live with us. So I thought that was a really cute idea. She said, let's see. #6 was she uses hashtags on everything. So if it's like #million or whatever you're going for, you put it on everything. It's just a subliminal to keep your customers and your consultants knowing what you're going for. #7, don't forget the clients, let them know what's going on as well, your customers, for your goals. $1 million team products. Let's see, buy $10 from consultants, get $1 million. Thanks. I don't know what to put about that. #8, build leaders. #9, stay focused. And #6, visualize your moment, every detail. And y'all, then she did the sweetest thing. She brought up Brittany Jinks at the end. And she said, because, Mary Kay just recognizes, and they have always done this, but we've never had a Canadian be #1. It's always been a United States gal that's been #1 until last year. Okay. And anyway, she brought up Brittany Jinks and she said, we are queens together. And she just was like so sweet. And the way she did it, it was like, we're not going to have division between Canada and the United States. I mean, and that's really how Mary Kay should do it anyway. So they should just say, these are our two queens. And so she, on her own, brought Brittany up there and said, we are queens together. And I think she might even had something for her, but it was really touching how she did that. And I thought that's the Mary Kay way right there, to do it that way, because, anyway, it was just really neat how she did it. And Brittany was very touched by the whole gesture of all of that. And so the recognition meeting, it was really good. It just made you think about your goals and why you're there and what you're doing. Of course, they're celebrating them right now. Everyone that did 800,000 or more, they went on to Ireland, to Dublin first, and then to Limerick. And so the $1 Million directors got their robes. They had the $1 Million slumber party with their pink robes on and lots of special treats. And I think they come home like Monday or Tuesday or something. So, and believe me, talk about missing a goal. Believe me, I've done 800 before. And so I've been one of the ones getting on the plane to go to the next place and leaving everybody else behind. And today I was waving by and crying, right? And so I know what it feels like not to. And I thought, that's not going to happen again. Sometimes you have to miss a goal before you decide I'm not missing a goal again. Right. And so I'm like, okay, I love being with people. I love the trip because of all the friends I got to be with and all the fun we had. That was the best part of the whole trip. I don't care where we went. And I do have FOMO, the fear of missing out. I don't like to miss out on things. I don't know if you're like that. If there's something going on with a bunch of people, then I'm like, no, I'm going. I'm one that goes. Some of you guys are a little resistant in going to the big events in Mary Kay, and maybe it's because financial, but I promise you, you just have to find a way and make a way, because those are the things that changes you in Mary Kay, is when you actually attend in person and get to participate and meet the different people. And so, my good friends, they've achieved so much, and it makes me think, okay, I can do it too. We're all the same. What is it? And one of my friends, her name is Stacy Faust, and I said, Stacy, I mean, I don't even know, she was number 3 this year in her seminar, and she's done 1 million several times. I said, maybe you come on and speak to my unit. And she said, Cleta, and she said she would. She said, it's all in the numbers. She goes, I mean, you can twist it, turn it. She goes, but it is all in the numbers. Whoever does the most faces wins. I'm like, and that is the truth. I mean, we can come up with all these things, but no matter how you do it, it's who does the most faces. Either if it's virtual, if it's with samples, without samples, in person, out of person, however it's going to be, you've just got to see more people. And any of us that want to move up, I thought, self, you need to get some bookings, and get in front of more people, because it's so much easier to recruit people right after you've seen them and share the product information. So the rest of the trip, was awesome. The whole trip was amazing, you guys. Let me see if there's any other. I did want to show you one picture. This is one, we had a event, they call it a seminar dinner. And so they had a seminar dinner at the Museum of Scotland. And it was the most beautiful venue. This is all inside, but it looks like outside, doesn't it? It's beautiful pink lights. They had those people, bagpipes playing. And this is all the Ruby sales directors that were there. And so it was a wonderful dinner. We sat with our division. They call it a seminar dinner because like the Ruby directors all sat together, and then the Diamond directors, Emerald, Sapphire, and you sat with your sales development person. But just a wonderful, wonderful dinner in the most beautiful place. And of course, we got to tour all kind of stuff that, castles and big manors and, places that you would never, ever get to go. And Mary Kay paid for it. So like you would get on the bus and they would have a tour guide and they would take you over there and just show you everything. And, sometimes when you vacation by yourself, you see those things, but you're like, I'm not paying $40 to go in that museum or whatever it is, right? You're like, I look at it from the outside, right? Because we tend to just do that. But they paid for stuff like that. So you get to do the things that you normally on your own would probably not do, because you just wouldn't want to put the money out for that. And so, the trip in all was just a wonderful event. We ended up staying a couple of extra days, and we did have a couple of really cool experiences with this guy. one of the directors went by the store in Scotland called Joey D's, and y'all can look. I posted some stuff about it. I even did a little YouTube video of him, but it was a store where he would redo different clothes like blue jeans and camo and all kind of materials, draperies, and make them into like jackets and even skirts and purses and wallets. And so like you would go see this thing and like, let's say you didn't like the material on the sleeve. He goes, well, go pick you out something you do like. He'd rip the sleeve out and put another sleeve on it. I mean, it was just like right there and then in 5 minutes. He's a designer for like, I don't know, 20 years. And he is something else. And so a couple of girls saw it and spread it out to all the other girls on Boxer. And so I don't know, half of Mary Kay people went over there and got jackets. So I'll show you one picture of some of us that went in there. But it was, we all just said we all had to have a Joey D's jackets, and I'll tell you, Mary Kay women, they do love to do some shopping. So this was the store, and all of us had on our little and one of a kind jackets that he did. Like this one's Karen Riddle, and he sewed this fox on this jacket for her. This one you can see he's got the camo. This is the one I end up getting, and these are the like this is 2 different pair of blue jeans. If you can kind of turn to the side. This is like the back of a pair of blue jeans, right? Can you see the pockets? Like it'd be on the back of a pair of blue jeans. But anyway, so cool. Just a really neat Scotland experience with that. And the whole thing just made you think, I feel so blessed to be in a company where when you work hard, you get rewards like this. And it's there for any of you because you saw some of these directors. I mean, they went boom, boom, boom to the, sometimes I think people look at me and go, well, you've been in 37 years. But some of these gals have not been in very long. And when they started earning these trips, it was like they just went straight to the top in 3 years. So you don't have to take forever. I'm on that slow path that just, keeps going up. I might be slow and steady, but I'm steady to keep going up. And so you have to kind of find your path on that. But you guys, the next year is to Barcelona and Mallorca, Spain. And so, come on, everybody could go, right? You could be a director and get going, or you can be on a unit that goes. So you're represented on that unit. And we're having a business meeting with the company on November the, I think, 3rd or 8th. And they usually do it on the trip, but for some reason they decided to do it on Zoom in November. So we'll find some inside scoop. And of course, I will tell y'all everything that I can tell you. Right. And so you have to be connected with someone who's connected. Right. But anyway, it was a really awesome trip. And I'm glad I got to go. And I'm really proud of the Cheetah Nation and Champion Cheetah unit that put me there, because not me. I mean, I have to have those consultants that are so amazing. So I'm really appreciative of them. But just whatever dream you have, you guys, you can do it. And if nothing else you take away is just that more faces is what it takes. And however you got to get those more faces, if you have to go and out and chatterbook, warm chatter and give your card out, or if you have to use one of the ideas we've heard on some of the calls before where you reach out to people on Facebook that have commented or liked some of your pictures, offer them a free makeover, a free goodie bag. However you have to do it, you got to figure it out. And it's going to be different for everybody, but we all know we can do it. We all wouldn't be here tonight if we could figure out how to get a new face and someone to try the products. And so today, even I was at church and I saw this girl and I said, Brad, who's that couple? And he said, I don't know. I don't recognize. I said, I don't either. And don't you hate that? And then you hate to introduce yourself because you're like, they've probably been going there 5 years, and then you're kind of embarrassed. But I thought, I don't care. So I walked over there. I said, hey, I'm sure. I said, I'm sure I probably met you, or I should know you. I said, but I just wanted to introduce myself. And of course, so we end up talking, kind of find out she'd been going there a year. Her son and daughter-in-law go there. But honestly, I haven't met them. We sit in the front and they sit in the, they're on the side. So it happens that way if you have a larger church. But anyway, she knew who I was. And so we got to talking about Mary Kay. Couldn't find out she used to sell Mary Kay in the past. She told me about her first party. She sold 6 complete collections, which would be like the roll-up bag. And so who know? I said, well, girl, who were you in before? She says, I don't even remember her name. She said, it's been a long time. I'm like, well, guess what? you need to come back in under me. So anyway, she's got some things, some health things she's going through, but you never know. I mean, I'm just saying that it's just as easy as that. And I wasn't going over there to recruit her and Mary Kay. Honestly, I was just going over there to meet her. But the conversation led to that. And so, because, she knew I sold Mary Kay, and some people don't know you sell. That's a problem. Okay. So don't let it be a secret. And then as you meet people, the conversation naturally will come up, and just don't be afraid to ask, And so anyway, I had a lady call me in Scotland, and she said that she found me on TV. I'm sure it's on the Boss Babe call. And so she wanted to sign up and sell Mary Kay. And so I got to get with her this week. She's from Arkansas, where I used to go to school in that area. And so there's people all around you that are looking for something, I guess is what I want to say. And I just think we've got to open our eyes to who they are, and don't be afraid to ask, because I'm sure there's other companies that take trips, but I'm telling you, even this guy, Joey Dees, he said, there's something about the Mary Kay women. He goes, they're just different. He goes, they're all beautiful, but they're not like haughty. He said, there's just something in y'all. She said that show, of course, he didn't say y'all, he's talking in his accent, right? But that just shows love. And he said it just blew him away that we bought off half of his stock. I got there on the last day. I probably could have had cuter jackets if I'd have went on the first day, right? But I said, you know what that is? I said, that's the Lord. I said, God within us. And then I gave him my card, and that's what it brought. And it said God, family, career. He goes, what could I put on there? He says, I spiritual. He says, because, I said, well, what are the 3 most important things in your life? He said, well, I'm creative. And I said, well, you know what that comes from? I said, your creativity is a gift from God. I said, that comes from the Lord. And I thought, I'm not have to sit here and have to witness to Joey D, and it just led to that. And then, but I said, that's what the difference is in all the Mary Kay people that come in here. I said, it's their heart. And I said that they have God within, just like Maureen said, they have God within. So it's pretty awesome. And he saw the difference in us, because you know what, you get a lot of people coming in there. There's a lot of women probably that are cute but they're haughty, and they think they're all that, where we are more just real, and we're loving people. And that's how the Mary Kay people are. That's how we all want to be, right? And be like our founder that put God first. So anyway, I could go on and on. So, but I'm not going to. So thank y'all for coming on here tonight. And, I hope you can just think about any dreams, that you want, that you can have for yourself. So we're going to go and stop the YouTube call over here. Let me see if I need to do any shout outs on YouTube. If I can find it over here. Okay, let's see. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and end that now. And I'll stay on here for just a second.